From the darkness of ages past, mankind has sought to find his place in the world, looking to understand the harsh realities of his environment, and perhaps better understand the darker shadows of his own nature. His search has taken the shape of stories, myths of fanciful creatures to slay, and sometimes the shape of unexplainable creatures hiding in the unknown darkness. The vast wilderness of the Pacific Northwest is home to hundreds of species of wild animals. Yet, one of these has kept its existence a secret.
I'm here in what was, until yesterday, a very peaceful Puyallup garden. Tell us what you saw.
We saw something walking like, I don't know, maybe over 6 feet, maybe 6'5", 6'6".
Big friggin' footprints all over the place.
It was like two and a half size the times of a man's foot.
No clothes.
No clothes.
Roaring.
Large feet.
Funky smell.
He could have broken my door.
He was over there by my blackberry bushes, and he was feeding the deer.
Indian legend has it that the Bigfoot can glide through the forest as if there were no trees.
You can clearly see that the physiosyncratic motion attributed to the specimen is in no way symptomatic of Homo sapien arthritic gastrotendinitis seen in mammals of the upper ostrich family of post-Paleolithic anthropods.
But, Professor, is he dangerous?
Is he dangerous?
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that.
In 1987, a group of filmmakers set out to answer these very questions. And here's what they found.
The story came my way through a guy named Bill Martin, probably one of the best comedy writers I've ever worked with. And he and his partner, Ezra Rappaport, had about a 25-page sitcom script called Harry and the Hendersons. And their intent was to be a half-hour series, but I basically said to them, I think this is a bigger idea than a sitcom. I think that we should explore this as a movie because no one has taken the kind of look you guys took at Bigfoot, where he could be a lovable soul. He could be a very innocent being hiding under a very scary, furry beast. I had read a lot about Rick Baker, being a science fiction fan. He was an idol. I mean, after American Werewolf in London and stuff, he was basically, in my mind, the only one who could do Harry. And I think through effects people that we knew, somebody basically said, this is where Rick Baker lives, and I sort of took it upon myself just to knock on his door.
I believe he actually came to my home, and he told me that he wanted to do this film about Bigfoot. He said, I think you're the only guy in the world that can do this. He says, I'm familiar with your work, and I find that the stuff that you do, you give your character a soul, So I liked all the stuff that he was saying, I said, I like you, What I liked was he was so concerned about the character of Harry, and that he had to have this range of emotions to be able to make this movie work. And I like that because primates have many times in films have gotten a bad rap, and gorillas especially are very gentle animals, even though they're big and ferocious. So I started playing around, and I actually think the very first sketch that I did was what we ended up using, and it's the sketch they use in the movie as well. That's supposed to be John Lithgow's sketch when he does a drawing of Harry.
This is really Harry. Did you draw that?
I mean, it wasn't just creating a creature where you went, wow, that's Bigfoot. This one had to be, wow, that's Bigfoot, but oh my God, there's a being in there who's thinking, who's reasoning, who can make decisions, who has the ability to care.
That was the emotion I wanted to convey the most, that just there's this gentle, intelligent soul inside this big beast. One of the things that Bill was saying is that, Harry has to be big. He really wants him to be big. And I immediately, said, I know the guy that's going to play Harry, that should play Harry. This friend of mine, Kevin Peter Hall, who's a 7-foot-tall actor who I got his first job in Hollywood. And we became fast friends after that. And I just thought he'd be so perfect for the part.
I'll tell you, at the heart of it all, what made it work is that Kevin was a good actor. Kevin was 7'2", and Kevin wanted to be Harry. From the time he came in, I mean, we interviewed a lot of people, big, gangly people that had done suit work before, but when Kevin came in, there was something about it. You could see the passion to bring Harry to life, and there was really, once we saw Kevin, there was no question. He sort of embraced Harry from the inside, and that's the best thing that could have happened, because our suit was a very much an outside thing, but it needed that heart and soul on the inside, and that came out through the eyes and his movements and the way he took that whole being of Harry and made it very, very human.
Throw it on the ground. Throw it on the ground. Yeah.
I felt very strongly, as the saying goes, that eyes are the window to the soul. And I really thought those need to be Kevin's eyes. So the mask was designed in a way so that we would utilize Kevin's eyes.
It was very important that he could look John Lithgow, he could look the characters in the eyes, he could look the audience in the eyes, and you would go, there's humanity in there. There's a sensitive being in there. There's somebody who, even though they can't speak, they're bigger than me. I fear him because of his size. He fears me because of civilization. But yet we can't take our eyes off each other. And that's what I was striving for. I think that's what Rick was striving for. To Rick's credit, he had a real consciousness for making it as pleasant for the actor inside the suit.
I try to make suits that are kind of more anatomical in a way and based on anatomy and actually have these muscles that kind of are connected. So it was built as a suit that, first of all, you could perform in. And it would kind of translate as muscles work. So Kevin had the advantage of that. First, we molded Kevin's entire body, and that's the armature for our sculpture. So when I sculpted the head, I'm sculpting on a life cast because you want it to fit the person. Every wrinkle on Harry's face is carved into the clay and modeled. Every pore is carved into the clay and modeled. The same with his hands, same with his feet, same with his entire body. Then molds are made of these things, and cores are made so we can cast the foam rubber the thickness we want. Bill wanted Harry to be 8 foot, 9 foot, or something like that. But in research that I did before on Bigfoot and Yetis and things, they always kind of talked about him having, the Yeti having kind of a pointed head. So I thought, well, if we give Harry a bit of a kind of a almost football-shaped pointed head, that'll add a few inches there. And we could probably make feet for him that have lifts in them to make him, so we can get him pretty big.
It feels all right?
They were literally 4 inches under his heel of lift. And that with another 4 inches on top of his head, he was about 8'2", maybe 8'3" if he really stood up.
Well, I would love to have eye contact with him when he says it.
I think so too.
All right. Whereas I think it might be more useful to hug.
Once Rick had built this elaborate muscle suit that again had all this ability to move, he also literally designed where every hair would go. And that's another thing that brought this incredible reality, because no matter how close we took the camera to the creature, if you were close enough to see that a hair was actually growing out of the skin, you would see it growing out of the skin.
All the hairs are put in a hair at a time, and each one is double knotted. Each one's tied in 2 little knots. So just one hair suit for Harry is like, 6 months' work for like a whole crew of people.
Oh, yeah, he's so smart. Right?
It was an amazing process because every step that Rick brought was going to make the creature basically live and breathe. And that's something we always had our finger crossed, and how real can we make this?
Bill, I remember giving me some kind of breakdown, and it was something like 58 specified expressions in the script, I remember incredulous, I go, how do you do incredulous, on this thing, Previous to Harry, we would do these cable-controlled heads where you would have a bundle of cable that came out the back of the head going to puppeteers off camera that would pull levers that would make part of the face work. And I just said, this isn't going to work for this film. We can't do this for this film because he's moving all over the place, and it's not like it's just we're going to punch into a close-up here. He has to be conveying these emotions, in a wide shot and a close-up. So we're going to have to make this head a radio-controlled head, never having made a radio-controlled head before. For most of Harry, we used a head like this, which was a radio-controlled head, and this is one where I've cut half the foam rubber off, so you can actually kind of see the thickness of the foam is very thin, like about 1/4 of an inch. If I turn this around some more, you can see the skull cap that straps onto his head that holds it tight. And the space between the skull cap and the core here is where we put all our motors. These are radio-controlled motors like radio-controlled cars or airplanes use. Only in this case, the little levers push and pull on these cables that this was is glued to the foam and causes like a squint. This is, part of a smile thing here. This works his lip up and down and in and out. The servo-operated head really made Harry possible for us. The 3 puppeteers that were off camera, myself being one of them, can operate him. We were able to have a character that could walk around and do all these things, not be tied down to these cables.
This is my slider.
Kevin did work the jaw on the head. It was set up so he could open and close the mouth. But it took 2 puppeteers to do the lips and 1 puppeteer for the brows. And we so many times just kind of winged it.
Yeah, looking around. Over towards red. Towards red.
These were in the days before video assist and all this stuff, so there was not any spare place on the stage for the puppeteers. I would be kind of in one corner behind a C-stand and behind a flag, kind of with my little joystick trying to see him, and the guy doing the brows was over here, and the other guy that was doing the lips was over here. We'd do a take, and then I'd run the obstacle course between the C-stands and the camera and stuff, and run up to Kevin and go, Kevin, when this happens, I'm going to do this, and I'd kind of make a face, and show him, so he'd have an idea of what it is. He goes, okay. And then he might say, I think it'd be cool if we did this at this point. I go, all right, so I'd run and tell the other puppeteers, and we'd go back and do another take. After a while, the 4 brains kind of were working as one. It became magic.
On the set, it was always seemed natural, and Kevin seemed to do it from the very beginning. He would just basically stay Harry. So if he didn't understand something or he got a sense he wanted you to explain it a little more, there might be that kind of curious look that Harry would give. And I'd even find Rick and them going, so Harry's eyebrows would come up, and when Kevin would shake his head, they might put a smile on his face.
Bill would say cut, and it takes a few seconds before the cameras would actually cut, so there's a little bit of footage that, So I went to the other puppeteers and I said, when they say cut, let's just do something with the joysticks. Let's just make a funny face, just for fun. And a lot of takes in the movie are that. There's a lot of happy accidents.
Everybody looks to the noise, and we're going to cut in tighter on their urgency. This is going to become kind of a 2 between them, and tomorrow we'll do reactions on you guys against the big hit. Okay. All right. Let's. You want to shoot one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd have dailies at lunch, and we would have our lunch and watch the dailies, and we just, the puppeteers would sit together with Kevin, and we'd all watch it and talk about it and learn from what we did. But also, it was a really great learning experience just watching John Lithgow. I mean, he made great faces and just did so many terrific things. So, John Lithgow's performance actually inspired a lot of Harry's performance as well.
George, those are just empty calories.
Oh, never mind about that. No. Not yet.
There's a lot of people involved in it, and in a show like Harry, it's still a team effort, and as any film is.
We brought an animal movement coordinator in Peter Elliott, and he basically knew how gorillas, how simians, how animals moved, and he could help a human do something, like whereas we would pick something up like this, an animal might pick it up like this. And it was great to have this kind of care being taken.
Are you still there? Sorry, bad connection. You're up near Index, right?
Every gesture he had learned, every piece of Harry movement that he had rehearsed was kind of put into that. So things just didn't become, okay, now the Bigfoot does this gag. No, it wasn't that. It was, this is the way Harry would do it.
It was eating out of our refrigerator. I thought it was going to eat me, but it ate my daughter's corsage instead, and then I passed it for you, yeah, and then it ate our goldfish.
And then a choreographer I'd worked with many times, a woman named Nancy Gregory, very easygoing and very inventive choreographer. We brought her in so that Kevin Peter Hall could then develop a sort of Bigfoot sense of movement. So aside from the particular animal movements that Peter would insist on, that they kind of adhere to, Nancy brought a kind of a grace, almost a ballet, to a creature that was 7 foot tall, who obviously knew his way around the forest.
The only answer is a safe place where even LaFleur can't find him.
It's an amazing thing, any living creature, and trying to duplicate that, it's challenging, but it's really rewarding as well. It also gives you an amazing appreciation for life and for living creatures, and like if there's a spider in my house, I take it outside, and I don't step on it, because it's like, what an amazing thing that is, it's this little thing. There's like, we couldn't find servos small enough to make those little arms work and do all these things. That's one of the reasons I felt so strongly about Harry, is that at first we kind of wanted him to think of you as monstrous, and then see that there was this gentle soul behind it. I think we succeeded, and like I said, I still to this day think it's one of my favorite things that I've done, and whenever people ask me that, I always say Harry.
What came out of it that I think we all were blessed with was that we got a living, breathing creature that at times was very silly, and at times was forcing humans to do things they wouldn't normally do, and they were forcing it to do things it wouldn't normally do. And I think that was the essence of the story for me, is that how does civilization impact this creature? And the best part we could achieve is how does this creature impact civilization? There is a moral heart to this story, and it's about acceptance. If it has a heart and breathes, it's probably not bad. I don't want to wrestle a polar bear, but it's probably not bad.
And so we have answered the question. Bigfoot is real. He exists in the hearts of all who seek the wonder of the unknown. But don't get too close. He smells funky.